Alrighty, it's that time of the year. The most disappointing games of 2019. Now, 2019 was a very good year for video games. Lots of good stuff to talk about on the cream of the crop list. But, like, as always, where there's good, there's not so good. And today, this video, it's going to be focused on the not so good. It's going to be focused on the ones that fell way below par, the ones that did not live up to my expectations, that just disappointed me. So here we go, the most disappointing games of 2019. Anthem is getting a dishonorable mention tag because, well, let's face it, it's not a disappointment. I knew it was going to be a big pile of shit the moment I saw it, and surprise, surprise, it turned out to be a big pile of shit. There is no disappointment here. My bottom of the barrel expectations were met. Aside from Fallout 76, BioWare's looter shooter Life Sims is probably the single most embarrassing AAA failure this year. It was a genre BioWare had no business and clearly no talent dabbling in. I don't know what fucking geniuses at BioWare decided that an awful looter shooter would be the way to go after the high-profile disaster that was Mass Effect Andromeda. Yes, Anthem is definitely going to be the savior of the studio. Anthem is a game that's actually just a lot more fun to take a massive dump on than to actually play. Playing it is just fucking boring. Playing Anthem is one of the most painfully uninteresting experiences I've put myself through in recent years. Its game design is bland, unrewarding, amateur hour garbage that in no way showed that BioWare had learned any lessons from the looter shooters that came before it. Its shooting sucked complete ass, and even the much lauded flying mechanic felt so uncomfortable to pull off because I felt like my character's feet had fucking bricks attached to them the whole time. But BioWare is a studio famous, absolutely famous for their storytelling. Surely, Anthem's story was a masterstroke to behold. These are the guys behind Mass Effect, after all. Surely, BioWare knows how to tell a compelling space opera story. Nope! Its story was pathetic and splooged your eye holes and ear holes with boring, babbling nonsense about having to save some people from some stupid villain called the Monitor, or whatever. Who cares? It was the most copy-paste, generic storytelling I've ever seen. Hell, Vanilla Destiny, right? Vanilla Destiny's story had more atmosphere and wonder than Anthem. That's bad. Its main missions were just a joke. They played like a parody of the terrible story missions that the original Vanilla Destiny had, and it was made worse by the fact that you had to complete a bunch of annoying, same-feeling side missions halfway into the main campaign just to progress. Anthem is a terrible, misguided game made by a developer that has lost its way so hard these last few years, and published by one of the biggest shitbag companies in the industry. How could it not fail? After the 1-2 punch of Mass Effect Andromeda and now this train wreck, BioWare better make the greatest fucking game of all time with Dragon Age 4, if they even want to have a shot at redeeming themselves. Dragon Age 4 better fucking give players the biggest orgasm of their lives if they want to make people forget about how low they've sunk as a developer. Personally, I have zero faith in them turning this around. And after learning about the horrific working conditions that the people behind Anthem were put through, I genuinely hope EA just ends BioWare's fucking misery. Forget the slow death by poisoning that's EA's usual MO. They need to take BioWare behind the house and put a bullet in the back of their head. Just end it. Right now. Sorry guys. I know Outer Wilds is considered one of the very best games of the year, and the most amazing fucking thing since sliced bread. But I'm sorry, it bored the hell out of me. Look, its concept is quite nice, okay? I like its idea. Solving a mystery while exploring a handcrafted galaxy. And I especially appreciated that handcrafting aspect after No Man's Sky's infinite planets. Sadly, after a pretty promising start, it just fell apart for me. I couldn't give two craps about the mystery at the heart of this adventure, and I hated the gameplay so much that it turned me off from ever wanting to solve it. Also, the idea of your progress resetting after each death, like it was Groundhog Day in space, sounds exciting, but I grew so frustrated with the way it was implemented. And don't even get me started on how terrible the ship controls are. Yes, I know, I get it. It's part of the lore that your character's species makes crappy spaceships. I get it. That's still no excuse for bad gameplay. And out of all the games on this list, Outer Wilds is the one I feel the guiltiest about. I really tried to get into it. I love Annapurna Interactive, and I want to love all of their games. But to my great disappointment, Outer Wilds just did absolutely nothing for me. In a rare case for this annual list, I have to admit that I might have been too harsh on Man of Medan. I still don't think it's a good game, and it's deeply flawed to the point where I still consider it a disappointment. However, I went back to play it a second time a few months later, and I actually had a much better time with it. I had such a decent time with my second playthrough that I actually played it a third time in that director's cut mode that it comes with. And I don't know, I think Man of Medan is average now instead of crap. But that's the fatal flaw with it. The various paths that your story goes down are wildly inconsistent in terms of quality. These choose your own adventure style games need to have consistently good storytelling and interesting diversions in order to be successful. The first two Mass Effect games did this, The Witcher 3 does this, Telltale's The Walking Dead does this, Wolf Among Us does this, Life is Strange does this, Man of Medan does not. And even when you get a decent playthrough, you're still stuck spending nearly an hour with some of the most insufferable douchebags ever put in a video game. And most of the choices you make in that boring first hour really add up to nothing in the end. So, for a good chunk of this game, regardless of the rest of the playthrough, it's just a complete waste of time. So, yeah, better luck next time, Supermassive. I genuinely hope Little Hope is good. Basically a masterclass on how not to stage a comeback for a PS1 franchise. Medieval is a fucking terrible remaster of a game that was clunky even by the standards of the era it came out in. Yes, it looks pretty. Yes, its music is quite nice. But my lord, the gameplay is a disaster. It's stiff, cumbersome, and really off-putting to try to wrap your head around. In my review of it, I forgot to mention one key thing. It's abysmal camera. The camera is so fucking erratic and unhelpful that it turned an already miserable experience into something that became intolerable. A retarded monkey having a seizure could hold a camera better than the one in Medieval. I tried making it at least halfway through the game. I didn't even make it to that point. I reached a section of a level that was so fucking boring and so fucking maddeningly irritating that I ejected the disc and haven't gone back to it since. Just awful. Never do this again with one of your cult classics, Sony. This franchise deserves better than this. I've seen Days Gone being touted as one of the best games of 2019 in some circles, and I just have to ask, why? Why are people swallowing the bland, buggy swill that is Days Gone? Is it because it's a PlayStation exclusive and y'all need to show support for the Japanese people? Well, you have one already. That's way better this year. It's called Concrete Genie, and most of the world ignored that charming game in favor of this boring mediocrity. Days Gone plays like a game lost in time. Its core three tenets, open world, survival elements, and zombies, are outdated by 5 years and are all deeply flawed in multiple ways. Its open world design makes the last gen Assassin's Creed games look like The Witcher 3 by comparison. Its survival elements are ridiculous and annoying. Not even Death Stranding's survival elements were this bad. And that's a game fucking dedicated to those mechanics. Its zombies were adequate at best, but came across as a last-minute afterthought in the grand scheme of things. And if all of that wasn't bad enough, the launch version of this game was maybe the most technically shoddy PlayStation exclusive this generation. Bugs and glitches were everywhere. I once encountered 3 game-breaking bugs all at the same time. I couldn't pause the game, I couldn't save, and I couldn't interact with a main mission character. I have never seen anything like that before from a game that has this much money and publisher support behind it. And its frame rate. Good Jesus Christ above its frame rate. It made me physically sick at times. It was ridiculously inconsistent in the beginning of the game, but by the time the third act rolled around, the frame rate frequently took a fucking nosedive into the toilet. I got multiple headaches trying to slog my way through this fucking thing, and I don't even give a damn. I don't give a damn how many patches they've released for it since launch. It should never, and I repeat, never have come out in the state that it was in at launch. PlayStation is usually really great at their big games being technically good, but they shit the bed so hard with Days Gone. I hope Ben's studio moves on to a different series after this, because I don't think I have any interest in the future of the Days Gone universe. Not after this poor, pathetic first attempt. I can't even pretend that this ended up being disappointing. I saw this coming a mile away. However, that doesn't make it sting any less. I really hoped for great things from Respawn doing a Star Wars game, and this could have been a really enjoyable game. Sadly, it wasn't. Instead of playing to their strengths and making a first-person shooter with maybe a Mandalorian-style story, Respawn instead chose to make yet another Me Too Soulsborne game with flaccid, unreliable lightsaber combat, boring as all hell storytelling, and really generic level design. Pretty much every element Fallen Order was trying to do was done so much better in the games it was shamelessly borrowing from. Similar to Days Gone, what makes the whole thing worse is the overall lack of polish. It ran like crap most of the time on the PS4 and had so many hilarious bugs and glitches that I was shocked that this was from the same developer behind the legendary Titanfall 2. This was clearly pushed out by Disney and EA to coincide with the release of Rise of Skywalker. But an extra 6 months in the oven wasn't going to save this game. Let's be honest, it needed a complete gameplay overhaul. Instead of trying to make a kiddie version of Dark Souls and Sekiro, Respawn should have gone for flashier combat and a focus on amazing looking combos like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, and Kingdom Hearts. It's a fucking crying shame that this doesn't turn out to be good. But like I said, I can't say I'm surprised. Just for the love of God, can Respawn just get on with Titanfall 3? Please? At this point, that's all I want from them. Aside from great DLC characters that Smash Ultimate has been getting, Nintendo did not impress me this year. I didn't play most of their stuff, but aside from the charming Link's Awakening, I was very underwhelmed by the stuff I did play this year from them. Pokemon Sword and Shield were just lazy, half-hearted updates, and I put updates in hard quotes, to the series. Sure, its core gameplay is fun and addicting, but it was so lackluster in every other department. I mean, come on. Even for someone who didn't really care about the National Dex controversy, I can immediately tell that Game Freak dramatically oversold this as a big next-gen Pokemon game. Have you played any mainline Pokemon game within the last 20 years? Well, congratulations, you've already played Pokemon Sword and Shield. There, I saved you $60 and an hours of time you can spend doing something more exciting and productive. Yoshi's Crafted World, on the other hand, is the much bigger disappointment of the two. Pokemon Sword is at least mildly entertaining. This one was just so fucking boring. I was so excited to play Yoshi's Crafted World, and it absolutely crushed my soul when it dawned on me that I wasn't having a good time playing it. It functions. It looks lovely. It's not flawed in any big mechanical way. It's just so fucking boring. All the levels have the exact same rhythm to them without the explosive creativity and sense of wonder that's present in the best Switch exclusives like Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. Well, whenever I complete a level in Super Mario Odyssey, even now, my spirit is just bursting with good vibes and happiness. But whenever I completed a level in Yoshi's Crafted World, most of the time I thought, oh, thank Christ, that's over with. And almost like a rarity for Nintendo, the music is bad. Like, really bad. If you like hearing the same bland tune over and 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 over again until you want to gouge out your fucking eardrums, hey, Yoshi's Crafted World has got you covered, sunshine. Here, let me give you a sample of what you're going to be hearing for 7 to 8 hours or more in Yoshi's Crafted World. There. That's the soundtrack to Yoshi's Crafted World. Both games, in my opinion, are condom games in a sense. You use them, maybe have fun with them, and then you throw them away and never think about them again. Except one I mildly had fun with, and the other one was one of the biggest cases of blue balls I've ever gotten from Nintendo. Try harder in 2020, guys. Please, for me. How many of you fine folks out there forgot or didn't know that EA released a new Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare game this year? Come on now, don't be shy. Right, well, if you raised your hand because you forgot this game even existed, join the fucking club. Hell, I own the fucking game and I forgot it even existed. This game is so goddamn forgettable that when I made the initial list of games that were going to be featured on this video, I had completely blanked out on Garden Warfare 3. That alone is reason enough for this game to be on here, among other things. Garden Warfare 3 is a game I've been looking forward to because I've grown quite fond of this spin-off to the Plants vs. Zombies franchise. The first two Garden Warfares are extremely rare, high-quality live services that EA released this console generation. It's shocking, I know. Me liking 1 or 2 live services from EA this generation? My god, but that's how good the first two Garden Warfare games are. Back in their heyday, they were so much fun to play. Now their servers are ghost towns, and all we're left with is this new one, Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville. So EA pulled another one of their genius marketing strategies and released both the early access and 1.0 versions of the game during two of the busiest times of the fall season with very little fanfare to ensure it would die out in the cold. The saddest part is that it's not a bad game. Its PvE modes are surprisingly good for something that was just unceremoniously squirted out. Not mind-blowing campaigns by any stretch of the imagination, but plentiful and rewarding, which is a lot more than I could say for fucking Anthem. But it's PvP though? Ugh, like from what I played of it, and I didn't play a whole lot, it was an unbalanced nightmare that was so stingy with its currency and rewards that it made Overwatch look generous by comparison. Speaking of currency and rewards, I have a strong hunch that EA wanted this game to be swept under the rug. Why? Because it was a dirty little attempt to test the waters to see how people would react to them cramming loot boxes back into their games again. That's right, EA made yet another children's game that has loot boxes and microtransactions. Except They're even worse here than they were in Battlefront 2! There's single item loot boxes that cost an outrageous amount of in-game currency, and that feature a ton of useless crap in the item pool, so you constantly won't be getting the cool skins you want. It's disgusting. Granted, the first two Garden Warfare games had microtransactions and loot boxes in the form of card packs as well. I'm not fucking sweeping that under the rug. I'm not gonna be EA. Those were shitty back then too. But here, it's even worse. But, like, at least those, like, the card packs, they could guarantee cool shit. These rewards that you get in here are just, they're awful. They're back then, they were more rewarding than this. I really should have made a separate video on this issue, and I apologize for not doing it. I should have. When this first oozed out of EA's servers, I really regret not getting around to it. Combining how forgettable the title is, how gross its monetization is, and how sneaky EA tried to be with it, Garden Warfare 3 absolutely deserves the top spot on this list. Well done, EA. Just well done. You've ruined yet another franchise of yours I liked. The ever-increasing, or I'm sorry, in this case, decreasing list of games and franchises that I give two fucking shits about from EA just grows smaller yet again. Seriously, bravo. Bravo, EA. Seriously. That one's for you, EA. Have a warm bath, a cookie, and a hand job. You deserve it, you fucking cunts. Alright, thank you so much for watching. If you like to see, subscribe. Let me know which your most disappointing games of 2019 were. And as always, I am Razorblade Mango. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.